Hi guys, James, JT at the Movies back here again, and this is for a bit of a follow-on video to the Organising the Collection video that I did the other day. Everybody seemed to respond really well to that, and seemed to like when I was talking about what titles I had, so I thought I'd actually delve into each collection, or each genre in the collection, sorry, and walk through the titles, might give a few thoughts along the way. So I'm just going to go through it and we'll see what we think. So on this shelf here, it's DVDs and it's the horror section. At the top there, we've got The Possession, Apollo 18, and the TV miniseries It. We've got Perfect Getaway, The Devil Inside, The Grudge, Dreamhouse, Quiet Place, Host, and Crocodile. We've then got The Woman in Black, The Woman in Black 2, Deep Blue Sea and Deep Blue Sea 2, Sharknado, Shark Night, 47 Meters Down, the Jaws series, quite like my shark movies, Grave Encounters. I really liked that. It's a straight-to-DVD horror movie, and it's basically a rip-off of like Ghost Adventures or Most Haunted or that sort of a thing, but they actually find ghosts. And then the sequel's not as well executed. That's Grave Encounters 2 there, but it does have an interesting concept. Definitely both worth checking out if you've not seen them before. Saw 1, Saw 2, and then Jigsaw, Saw 8. The Thing from Another World, so I think that's the 1950s original film that obviously the remake of the Thing and then the re-remake of The Thing are based on. Escape Room, that's a horror film from last year. Didn't mind that one actually. It's a bit daft, but not a bad concept. Insidious 3 and 4, I've got the first two on Blu-ray. The Purge, the full collection so far there. Purge, Purge Anarchy, Election Year, and the first Purge. The Child Play series to date, so obviously Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, Bride of Chucky, Seed, Cult, and then Curse of Chucky, and then the Mark Hamill remake of Child's Play. I talked about this next box set in a recent pickup video. That's George A. Romero's Of the Dead box set, trilogy if you like, with Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead in there. A really good set. You can get it on Blu-ray. And I think some of the boutique labels are putting out, individual versions of the three films. But if you just wanted something, like I said last time, to whet your appetite, that's a great jumping-off point. Land of the Dead, one of George Romero's more recent ones before he passed away. The Zack Snyder remake of Dawn of the Dead. I don't mind it, but I understand why it gets negative reviews. I've not seen this yet, but that's a remake of Day of the Dead. And then we've got Pet Sematary. Possibly one of the worst films I've ever seen, The Dead Don't Die. What an absolute waste of a stellar cast and a talented director. I don't know what was going on there. I'm not normally one to not recommend watching something, but I really wouldn't recommend going anywhere near that. In fact, I don't even know why it's up there and why it didn't get put in the charity pile. Probably because I don't want to inflict it on anybody else, to be fair. Pride, Prejudice and Zombies. It takes the story of Pride and Prejudice, put zombies in it. Quite fun. World War Z, I quite enjoyed. It's one of Laura's favourites. 28 Weeks Later, I'll be honest, I've yet to see, but like the first one, and The Girl with All the Gifts. That's the first shelf. I'll just come down to So we're on the next shelf of horror DVDs now. We've got The Babadook, Vacancy, Vacancy 2, the American remake of One Missed Call, Shutter. Again, I think that's an American remake of a Japanese film. Bogeyman, 51 and Husk, straight to DVD horror movies. Didn't mind them. 51's not great. Husk isn't too bad. The Jeepers Creepers trilogy. I do quite like the films, but obviously do not support the chap who made them at all. The Last Exorcism Part 2. Paranormal Activity 4, 5 and 6. Legend of Harrow Woods. Now, I've probably had that since I was about 14 or 15. And I only bought it because it said that it had Christopher Walken in it. I've not actually yet watched it, so one day I'll get to it. Alone with Her, that's kind of like a found footage stalker movie. I think it went straight to DVD. It's not amazing. The Descent, loved it. The Descent Part 2 was okay. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. A box set there with the remake of Sorority Row, the remake Last House on the Left, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, so the second one. There's the first one, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Up here we've got Poltergeist, The Cavern. The Cavern wasn't great. The Cave, that's not a bad one, isn't that? Archaeologists find a cave under a church, and I think there's like sort of, if I'm remembering rightly, is it aliens that are living in it or something like that? And it's got like a supernatural sort of element to it. Blair Witch Book of Shadows. I've not watched it yet. I thought the first one it really wasn't my cup of tea, to be fair. But I've heard that the second one is an interesting watch, and I've got the third one, I think, somewhere on Blu-ray as well. Silent House, that was, I think it was one of Elizabeth Olsen's breakout films. Really clever camera techniques in that one. It follows the whole thing as though it's like one shot point of view. Not a bad film. The Strangers, again, I don't know why I haven't donated that yet, to be fair. I've never got on with that film. I remember buying that with Christmas money the year it came out and been really excited to see it. And, yeah, what a shame. Audrey Rose, an early Anthony Hopkins film. His daughter dies, and then I think the spirit sort of comes back in another little girl, if I'm remembering rightly. And yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't think it's aged very well, but it's not a bad watch. Trick or Treat, it's a bit of a compilation horror film where all like the stories end up sort of linking together. The American remake of The Ring, and then Ghost Ship. That really wasn't anything to write home about either, to be fair. The Exorcist, one of the greatest horror films ever. Sinister 1 and 2. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Faculty, I think that's Robert Rodriguez, is that? I quite like that one. The Wrong Turn series, so we've got the 3-pack there, and then 4, 5 and 6. I love the first 3. I thought that 4 was alright as a prequel, and I thought 5 was dire, and the less said about 6, the better. Now, I'm only keeping 6 because it was actually released, and it was available here in the UK on DVD for about a month, and then they pulled the DVD from release. I don't know whether it's true or not, but there's an urban legend in it that they'd used like an actual missing poster of somebody who'd actually gone missing, as like a missing poster for a victim in the film. Drop me a comment if that's right or not, because I remember reading that online on a forum somewhere, and I never actually looked into it, but sure enough, you can't get this on physical media anymore, and it's only available on certain streaming platforms, and I know it's heavily cut. Dark Skies, not amazing, not terrible either. The Urban Legends trilogy, I actually quite liked these ones. It's kind of in the similar sort of vein to Scream and that sort of 90s slasher feel about it. Really liked the first one. The second one's not too bad. The third one, admittedly the weakest of the 3, but not terrible. The Evil Dead series, so the original Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then I not so long since picked this up, which is Army of Darkness, the one that says Evil Dead 3 there. And the reason I picked it up is because it's got both the theatrical cut, which is the one that you get now in the Studio Canal release, and the director's cut as well. I can't remember which way round it is. In fact, it must be the director's cut over here, because the theatrical cut that's on that disc is the one where he, at the end of the film, sleeps too long and ends up 500 years in the future. The director's cut's the one where it ends, and basically that ending allows like Ash versus the Evil Dead to be set up. The remake of Evil Dead, didn't mind it. House on Haunted Hill, not a bad film. It's a remake, obviously, of the one from the 50s. Wind Chill, bit of a weird one, not bad. Uninvited. American Werewolf in Paris, I've not seen. American Werewolf in London. Sorry, there's a bit of glare there. Let me see if I can sort that out. That's helped a little bit, hasn't it? Dead Silence, love that one. That's a James Wan one. I think Lee Whannell is either starring in it or something to do with it. But it's like about puppets and things like that. Really creepy. Such a creepy film. The Awakening, not a bad one. Alone in the Dark and Alone in the Dark 2. Didn't mind the first one. The second one, the less said about it, the better. Then we come into the Warner Brothers New Line Cinema Conjuring universe. Annabelle Creations, Annabelle Comes Home, The Conjuring, Conjuring 2 and The Nun. Laura's got La Llorona downstairs, because I know that's kind of like a bit of a spin-off like the Annabelle ones or whatever. I didn't care for La Llorona, but Laura didn't mind it, so she ended up buying it. Haunting of Connecticut, not amazing. Candyman, I'm interested to see the new one, but I'll be totally honest, I didn't care for the original. I really just never got on with it. The Pact, didn't mind it, but it could have been so much more. Remake of The Fog, and not a candle to the original. Orphan, that's a great one. In Fear was a good one. It's sort of set up in like the Scottish Highlands, and sort of uses sort of a lot of dark sort of, it's set at night and there's not a lot of light, and sort of winding roads and things like that to sort of build the suspense in that one. I don't remember the payoff at the end of the film being amazing, but I remember that the build-up was alright. Exorcism of Emily Rose, Lighthouse, my mate Phil recommended that to me. It's one of his sort of favourite horrors. This here on the end is the only film I've ever actually turned off for not being able to stomach it all the way through, and it's the original Last House on the Left. And bless the scene where the poor girls get attacked, and well, I won't go into detail as to what happens, but by the prison escapees, it just upset me. I guess I've got a weak stomach for things like that, but the way it was filmed was just, it made it feel too realistic. The remake, I thought, even though it was still pretty graphic, I was able to handle that, but the original just, it upset me. Both me and a friend I went to high school with, we had a movie night many years ago now, and we'd both seen the remake in the cinema and decided that we'd watch the original, and then we turned it off. The Unborn, Mortuary, The Gift, The Mist, I've not seen that but heard good things. Silent Hill 2, like the first one. Second one's a bit of a missed opportunity. Mirrors, As Above So Below, quite liked that one. The Quiet Ones, I need to give that another shot, to be fair. I didn't mind it, but again, it could have been more. The Gift, When a Stranger Calls, the remake, don't mind it, but the original's better. Maniac Cop, Curfew, Ripper, Fallen. That's a good Denzel Washington one, is that, where he plays a cop and somebody's been executed, and then the sort of the spirit and the ghost sort of bothers him from beyond the grave. Do you want to know a secret? It's like a Scream type rip-off sort of thing. We've had that for years. I don't remember where I got that, but it's been around for years. Lights Out, don't mind it. It's the one where the ghost can only move in total pitch blackness. When the Lights Go Out, now I'm a Yorkshire lad, and this is the true story of a house over in Pontefract that was haunted by a ghost. Local news covered it in the 80s and everything. They've made a film of it, and obviously they've dramatised it quite a bit for it, but I actually quite like that one, and sort of with it representing the local area, it's quite a nice sort of curiosity piece to have. The Dyatlov Pass incident, I think that's got another name internationally. If I can remember what it is, I'll put a title underneath it, but I can't remember who's in it now, but it's not a bad one. Not a bad one. The remake, Hills of Ice and Hills of Ice 2. Hellraiser, Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street documentary. Nightmare on Elm Street, the series, the TV series. That's the first couple of episodes, and the reason I've got that is because I think the first couple of episodes of the series served as a prequel to the films, and it's sort of the bit that they incorporate into the new, say new, it's about 12 years old at this point, but the Jackie Earle Haley Freddy Krueger movie where the parents go after and kill him. I think that's the pilot episode of that. Freddy vs. Jason, great popcorn horror fun. Jason X, not the best. Jason Goes to Hell, not terrible. The rest of the Friday the 13th movies, 1 through 8, I quite like them. Texas Chainsaw, the 2014 remake, was it? Utter rubbish. Utter rubbish. I regret buying that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, and then the remake of Texas Chainsaw. Quite like both of them. And then the original 4 there, obviously Leatherface, the next Texas Chainsaw, Texas Chainsaw and Texas Chainsaw 2. And then the Halloween series. That's Halloween 1 through 5 in the box set. And then obviously the remainder of them. I've got Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 on Blu-ray, and then the recent remake, belated sequel on Blu-ray as well. I quite liked that. We'll jump on to the next shelf. So, down here, we've got Stir of Echoes, Unsane, that's a good one with Claire Foy, Devil, that's the one where they're all trapped in a lift, Regression, Emma Watson and Ethan Hawke. Bought that based on the cast. Not amazing. Let's have a look. I can't see what that one is there. That's Hostel. Premonition, Greta. Quite liked that one. A recent one there. Crawl. I need to give that another watch. We watched that right off the back of a comedy, and I just don't think me or Alice were in the mood for it. The Anacondas collection, quite like that. Don't Breathe, that was a good one. And Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You. I think that those are the sort of the 2010s answer to the Scream series. Really liked them. Really, yeah, just absolutely thought they were great. The Visit, is it M. Night Shyamalan? Didn't mind it. It got slated, but I really didn't mind it. Creep, set on the London Underground. Quite a creepy little film. Name's in the title, eh? Cabin in the Woods, brilliant film. The remake of The Hitcher with Sean Bean. The Shallows, Slither, the original Claude Rains' Invisible Man, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Get Out, fantastic film. Waterborne, not seen that. From Hell, loved it. I can't remember whether that's the good Ouija or the bad Ouija. There's one that's terrible, and then there's one that was half decent. But anyway, Ouija, Origin of Evil, the Tom Cruise remake of The Mummy, Belko Experiment, quite liked that actually. It Follows, not bad. Hide and Seek, didn't mind it. What's that one there? Pathology, Nobody is Safe. I've not seen that. The Piranha remake, the Piranha remake sequel, and then Piranha 1 and Piranha 2 The Spawning. I think Piranha 2 The Spawning was James Cameron's first film, wasn't it? The Fly and Return of the Fly, the original ones. The Fly 2, the sequel to the is it David Cronenberg one with Jeff Goldblum? I've got that one on Blu-ray. It's one of my favourite horror films, is that. Love it. Cabin Fever, Lake Placid, great. I don't think it's meant to be a horror comedy, but I find it hilarious. The collection of the Invisible Man movies, that should be over there with that one actually, but that's got the sequels in it with like Vincent Price, and I think is there an Abbott and Costello one as well. Mothman Prophecies, Final Destination, Case 39, Cradle Will Fall, Fourth Kind. Now the Fourth Kind started out so well. I loved the first act of that film, and then the second sort of wavered a bit, and then the third just completely lost it. Lost Coast Tapes, it's a found footage one. I can't remember much about it, but I have watched it a long time ago. Amusement, I didn't mind that. It's a bit of a suspense and torture sort of film. It's three stories that all come together, and then you find out how they're linked. I can't actually see what that one says there. I think that says The Haven. Not seen that yet. You can see it's still in the cellophane. The Dusk Till Dawn trilogy, great, love them. White Noise and White Noise The Light. I loved the first one. I don't actually have seen the second one. Paranormal Incident, that's one of the many copies and homages, if you like, that came out in the wake of the first Paranormal Activity. As I recall, it was nothing really to write home about. 13 Ghosts, didn't mind it. The remake of Psycho, I get why this one annoys people. I didn't mind it, but I do get why it annoys people. And then VHS. And so I'll just jump down here now. So horror sort of runs just for these two here before we go into thriller, which will be the next video. So we've got The Forgotten, we've got Night Watch, Compliance. Now that could be in thriller, but I actually found the concept so horrifying that I listed it as horror. I don't want to say too much about it, but if you haven't seen that film, watch it. It's quite a disturbing watch. Open Water, Under the Skin, The Shining, remake of House of Wax, Salem's Lot, After, the Tremors collection. Final Scream, so again another Scream sort of takeoff. Deliver Us from Evil, Wishmaster, Freeze Frame, the original 1932 Mummy, Jennifer's Body, Resident Evil, 1 Hour Photo, again could be a thriller, but I found it quite horrifying in parts, so put it as a horror. Unfriended, Dreamcatcher, really liked that one. Cloverfield, The Invasion, which is obviously the Daniel Craig, Nicole Kidman remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and then the Amityville Horror. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that is all the DVDs in my horror section. Like I said when I initially organised them, the categories are quite broad, and there are a lot of them where you could probably, put them into other categories, and I could split them down and go really niche with it. But I just thought that when I was getting new titles, or when I wanted to take things out to watch, it'd make things really awkward. And so I've just kept things quite broad like this. I think in the coming weeks and months, I might try and alphabetise within each section. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon when we jump into the thriller and sort of mystery section. Don't forget to subscribe for more, leave a comment with your thoughts. Take very good care of yourselves. Thanks again.